Out of all the cameras released in 2026, only one Nikon can claim 120 frames per second raw bursts, and a buffer so deep it barely stops shooting. For many professionals, it is the lighter, riskier option that tempts them. The Nikon camera lineup is not just about specs. It is about choosing the right tool for once-in-a-lifetime moments. But which Nikon will guarantee you nail the shot, and what could you be giving up if you pick the wrong one? The answer starts at the top, with two cameras built for pressure no amateur will ever face. Reliability isn't just a buzzword for professionals. It's the line between getting the shot and going home empty-handed. The Nikon Z9 sits at the center of this demand. Its stacked 45.7 megapixel sensor and speed. 7 processor deliver a blistering 120 frames per second raw burst, with a buffer that swallows over 1,000 shots before even thinking about slowing down. In real-world field tests, the Z9 sustains full-resolution bursts through entire action sequences, birds in flight, soccer strikers mid-sprint, or motorsport panning without a hint of blackout or hesitation. Autofocus is relentless. Deep learning algorithms track human faces, animal eyes, and even fast-moving vehicles, maintaining a hit rate above 95% in independent lab and field trials. In low light, the Z9 locks focus down to -10 EV, outperforming rivals and earlier Nikon models. For sports and wildlife shooters, this means confidence that every critical moment, from a leaping cheetah to a last-second goal, is captured cleanly, no missed frames, no motion blur from rolling shutter. The sensor's full-stack design keeps readout under 4 milliseconds, eliminating the warping that plagues lesser cameras during fast pans or erratic movement. Video professionals rely on the Z9 for more than stills. High bitrate 8K 60pn RAW recording can run for over 40 minutes before hitting a card limit thanks to the camera's full magnesium alloy body and advanced heat dissipation. Even when recording in demanding conditions, indoors at 25 degrees Celsius or under stadium lights, the Z9 shrugs off thermal warnings that would sideline a smaller camera. CF Express cards heat up, but the Z9's design keeps shutdowns at bay, letting pros work uninterrupted through long interviews, documentary takes, or entire halves of a game. But all this capability comes with a cost. The Z9 is large and heavy, built for reliability over portability. For those who value absolute certainty that the camera won't quit before the job is done, the Z9 is the reference point. Every other Nikon in the lineup, no matter how advanced, will be measured against this standard of endurance and performance. A pro shooter picking up the Z8 notices the difference immediately. The body is about 30% lighter than the Z9, shedding the integrated grip and slimming down the frame. For those who spend hours on their feet, weddings, events, travel, or long wildlife hikes, this drop in weight means less fatigue and more flexibility, especially when paired with lighter Z-mount lenses. The Z8E still uses the same 45.7 megapixel stacked sensor and X-Speed 7 processor, but the smaller chassis comes with certain realities. The buffer depth holds around 500 raw shots, half that of the Z9, which is still enough for sustained bursts during fast-paced action, but will eventually fill if you're shooting multi-minute sequences at full speed. Thermal performance is another area where the Z8's compact build draws a line. In video, the camera can record high bitrate 8K video or ProRes RAW, but tests show that heat warnings start to appear after about 20 minutes in a climate-controlled room, and automatic shutdown can occur at the half-hour mark. For most photographers and hybrid shooters, this window is more than adequate. Short bursts, interviews, and B-roll rarely push the limits. But those who regularly record long-form events like sports halves or documentary takes will find the Z9's larger body keeps running where the Z8 needs a break. Despite these trade-offs, the Z8's ergonomic feel and lighter weight open new possibilities for working pros. It fits into smaller bags, balances better on gimbals, and is less intimidating for portrait subjects. The Z8 becomes the camera for those who want flagship performance, but don't want to haul a flagship-sized kit. For many, this balance of power and portability is the deciding factor, making the Z8 the go-to for demanding jobs where every ounce counts. But job-ending failures are not an option. Hybrid creators looking for a real leap forward land on the Nikon Z60 III. This is not just a mid-cycle refresh. It is a rethink of what a mid-range full-frame can do for both photos and video. At the heart sits a 24.5 megapixel partially stacked BSI CMOS sensor paired with Nikon's X-Speed 7 processor. The sensor's partial stacking gives it a readout speed around 5 milliseconds, which means rolling shutter is nearly invisible even during fast pans or handheld video. Oversampled 4K video is recorded internally, delivering crisp detail and cleaner footage than previous generations. Internal RAW options and high bitrate codecs are available without the need for external recorders, streamlining the workflow for hybrid shooters who bounce between stills and motion. Stabilization is a highlight. 8 stops of in-body image stabilization measured in independent tests lets users handhold shots at shutter speeds that would have been impossible a few years ago. This matters for event shooters, wedding photographers, or anyone working in unpredictable light. The Z6-III's in-body image stabilization is not just a spec on paper, it translates to real-world gains. Creators can shoot handheld video on city streets or in dim venues and walk away with smooth, usable footage. Autofocus performance has also climbed, with subject detection tracking people, animals, and vehicles across the frame, even in low light. The hit rate for fast-moving subjects is reported at 92% in field tests, closing the gap with the flagship models above it. For hybrid shooters, this means more keepers, less time spent culling missed focus, and more confidence to shoot in challenging conditions. A deep buffer and 60 frames per second bursts, plus pre-release capture, offer flexibility for unpredictable moments, whether it is a candid at a wedding or a fleeting gesture in documentary work. The Z6 is built for those who need one camera to do it all, and who want workflow gains that are felt on every assignment, not just measured in specs. For hybrid creators watching their budgets, the Nikon Z6 II still holds a strong position in 2026. Originally released in late 2020, this camera uses a 24.5 megapixel back-illuminated sensor and the X-Speed 6 processor. While it can't match the stacked sensor speed of newer models, its 14 frames per second burst rate remains competitive for most real-world assignments. The Z6 II's autofocus, while not as advanced as the latest X-Speed 7 systems, reliably tracks faces and subjects in both photo and video, with an 80 to 87% hit rate in independent field tests for sports and wildlife, enough to satisfy most enthusiasts and even working professionals on a tight budget. Rental houses and used dealers continue to stock the Z6 II in large numbers. Its lower price point, often under $1,800 for a well-kept used body, makes it a cost-effective option for those who need full-frame quality but can't justify the jump to a Z6 III or Z8. The Z6 II's popularity among wedding shooters and small production teams is not just about cost, it is about access. With so many units in circulation, finding a backup or a rental on short notice is rarely a problem. This widespread availability also means strong resale value, letting buyers upgrade later without taking a heavy loss. For video creators, the Z6 II covers the essentials: clean 4K video, reliable face detection, and dual card slots for redundancy. Its buffer size, while capped at about 200 raw shots, is more than adequate for most events and documentary work. The X-Speed 6 processor sets some limits. Rolling shutter is more noticeable during fast pans, and autofocus is not quite as sticky in low light compared to newer models. But these are trade-offs many are willing to accept for the price. In practice, the Z6 II fills a critical gap in Nikon's lineup. It is the camera that lets budget-conscious creators step into full-frame hybrid shooting without compromise on core features. Whether picked up as a rental for a weekend gig or bought as a first serious body, the Z6 II's legacy is built on value, reliability, and the simple fact that sometimes last generation is more than good enough. Turning the camera in your hands, the Zf stands apart from the rest of Nikon's lineup. Every dial and switch is a nod to classic film-era design, yet nothing feels dated. The full-frame 24.5 megapixel sensor delivers the same clarity and dynamic range as Nikon's modern hybrids, but it is the tactile experience that draws photographers back. Shutter speed, ISO, and exposure compensation are all set by dedicated metal dials. No menus, no touchscreens required. For those who grew up on analog or crave a more deliberate process, this layout encourages slow, intentional shooting. But heritage does not mean compromise. The Zf is powered by the X-Speed 7 processor, unlocking features like 8-stop in-body stabilization and advanced subject detection autofocus. In the field, this means sharp handheld images well after sunset and reliable focus on moving subjects. A standout feature is the 96 megapixel high-res mode, which shifts the sensor in tiny increments to capture staggering levels of detail, ideal for landscapes or studio work. Photographers who value style and substance find the Zf bridges both worlds. It is not just about nostalgia, it is about reconnecting with the craft, using a tool that rewards both creativity and precision. For photographers eager to step into full frame without breaking the bank, the Nikon Z5 II stands out as a practical entry point. Its 24.5 megapixel sensor delivers the depth and clarity that full frame is known for, and the XSpeed7 processor brings autofocus and image stabilization up to modern standards. With 5-axis and body stabilization rated up to 7.5 stops, handheld shots in low light become more reliable, even for those still learning the ropes. The Z5 II's dual SD card slots offer peace of mind for event shooters or travelers who need instant backup, and weather sealing means the camera can handle unpredictable days outdoors. A key advantage for budget-minded enthusiasts is compatibility with Nikon's FTZ adapter, making it possible to use decades of f-mount lenses without sacrificing autofocus or stabilization. This opens the door to affordable glass, vintage primes, classic zooms, or specialty lenses. Stretching a kit further for less money, the camera's 30 frames per second JPEG burst and 14 to 15 frames per second RAW speed will not match the pro bodies, but for landscapes, portraits, or casual action, it is more than enough. For anyone looking to move beyond APS-C, or for those upgrading from a DSLR, the Z5 II strikes a balance between features and cost. It is the camera that makes full frame accessible, letting more photographers experience the benefits of a larger sensor without the intimidating price tag. In independent cinema circles, the Nikon ZR is drawing attention for one reason: internal red code RAW recording. No external recorders, no clunky workarounds, just native Red R3D capture straight to CF Express cards. This is a first for Nikon and a rarity outside of Red's own lineup. For filmmakers used to the color science and latitude of R3D, it means direct access to a familiar, flexible workflow from a body that looks and handles like a stills camera. The implications for post-production are immediate. R3D files are robust, supporting 12-bit color depth and high dynamic range, but they are also demanding. A minute of 6K RAW footage can easily top 1 GB, and longer takes quickly fill even the largest 2 TB cards. Card throughput requirements are steep. Sustained write speeds must match or exceed 400 megabytes per second to avoid dropped frames or corrupted clips. Not all CF Express cards are created equal. Only the fastest, most reliable models are recommended, and even then, careful formatting and regular card swaps are part of the job. File management becomes a central concern on set. Editors working in DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro will find R3D native support, but ingest times and storage costs rise sharply compared to compressed codecs. Proxy recording is available, but the main workflow benefit remains the freedom to jump straight into color grading with Red's LUTs and metadata intact. For indie productions, this means fewer steps between shoot and edit, and more creative control in the grade. There is a verification caveat. While Nikon advertises full internal Red R3D support, early reviewers and rental houses advise you to check firmware versions and card compatibility before a major shoot. Some pre-release units had limitations on frame rates or color space options, and not all post tools handled the new R3D variant without updates. For cinematographers who cut their teeth on Red or need a cinema-grade RAW workflow in a compact body, the ZR delivers a rare combination of flexibility and image quality. Yet the technical demands, large file sizes, high-speed cards, and careful verification mean it is not a casual upgrade. The ZR puts Nikon on the cinema map, but it rewards those who know what they are getting into. Nikon's compact cameras carve out a space for creators who want to travel light without sacrificing quality. The Z30, the smallest and most affordable Z-mount body, is designed for vloggers and solo storytellers. Its 20.9 megapixel APS-C sensor captures crisp stills and sharp 4K video, while the fully articulating flip screen makes self-shooting effortless. Whether recording a walk through a crowded market or setting up for a quick interview. Weighing just over 400 grams with its kit lens, the Z30 slips easily into a day pack, always ready for spontaneous moments. Streamlined for simplicity, the Z30 omits the electronic viewfinder and headphone jack, focusing instead on a responsive touchscreen and fast autofocus that tracks faces and eyes. Battery life stretches to about 75 minutes of continuous video, and built-in stereo microphones keep the setup minimal. For creators who value speed and ease, the Z30's menus and controls are straightforward, letting the focus stay on the story, not the settings. The Z50 II, though still awaiting official confirmation, is widely discussed as a beginner-friendly upgrade. Its predecessor, the Z50 was praised for its 11 frames per second burst rate and approachable controls. If the Z50 II follows this path, it promises a balance of speed, image quality, and portability, an appealing choice for travelers, students, or anyone stepping up from a smartphone. Both Z30 and Z50 lines work with Nikon's growing DX format Z mount lens range, covering wide landscapes and tight portraits alike. For those chasing distant subjects, the Coolpix P950 offers an optical zoom of 83 times, pulling far-off wildlife or city skylines into reach. Its fixed lens and point-and-shoot design suit travelers who want to capture everything from moon craters to birds overhead, all without swapping lenses. The P950's 16-megapixel sensor may not match larger cameras in low light, but its versatility stands out on the road. Nikon's D3500 DSLR, still available at some retailers, offers a classic optical viewfinder and long battery life for those who prefer traditional handling. With no new DSLRs planned and lens choices narrowing, the D3500 now serves as a legacy option, ideal for those who value simplicity and familiarity. Today, Nikon's Z-mount system shapes the creative choices of everyone from pros to beginners, while DSLRs quietly fade into history. As mirrorless technology pushes boundaries and new workflows emerge, picking a camera means choosing where you stand in a fast-changing field. The right tool defines your vision. And in 2026, that decision matters more than ever. Share which Nikon you would trust with your next story below.